thinks that stretching an extra few minutes every day is going to, chop that minute off the 5K that they need, then go after that for a year or so and see what happens. For me, it was I had to run 165 miles a week because I felt like the other guys are running 140. I'm not as talented as the other guys, so I got to run 165 to be to get up to their level. That's why I did it. I think for the marathon, it's a good idea to get some decent mileage runs. Go out and see what 20 miles feels like, because the marathon is so much different than other events in that you have that wall there that no matter how good you are, you're going to hit it. It's just a matter of how you get through that wall. I mean, we elites hit it, 20, 22 miles, you're just completely out of juice, and you just have to sort of will your legs to keep on turning over, and it hurts for everybody, no matter how fast or slow you might run. So I think getting out and hitting those 20 milers is a good way to see how your body's going to react when it's sort of right at the edge there. That's another important thing.
So even the elites are hitting the wall too, huh?
Absolutely,
yeah. I think Brian can relate, because unlike a lot of the elites out there, you did have a job. You did have a job your entire time, right? You worked for the Hansons running stores. You also worked for Home Depot, and so talk about how you balanced your time. And I think that's a thing for us, is that we're all busy. I mean, you've got kids, wife, kids, and work life, running life. How did you balance it, and what are tips that you could maybe share with us with that?
Well, it was certainly a balance, but I think going out and even now with two kids and having to work a little more than before, and now entering into classes and stuff like that, I think the run, getting out for just that half hour to an hour before everything happens or after it's over in the day is just very important, physically and mentally. I mean, it's just sort of like hitting the reset button, and whether you're training to try to make the Olympic team or just getting out there, that's your release during the day. I think it's important to get out and do it, because I know running in the morning makes me a better dad and a better worker and everything else the rest of the day.
I agree.
Whether it be for getting out for just a little 20-minute loop around the neighborhood, or getting out for a long run and going out and getting that done. So it's just such an important part of my life, and I think it adds way more to the quality of my life than it could ever take away. So for that reason alone, I think I'm going to be a runner the rest of my life, as long as my knees and hips and everything hold out.
Right.
But another thing, I had a really understanding wife. She would, and this was when we only had one child, so it was a little easier to sneak out for a 2-hour run in the morning and then an hour in the afternoon. Now that we have two, but I'm still going to, even with two kids and a job and so forth, I'm still going to get out and get a little bit in. But it definitely forces you to prioritize things. But I think overall it's for the best. Now,
one thing that's extremely relevant right now, with we're in the middle of the summer, and is the heat. I wanted to touch on, or have you talk about, training in the heat and then racing in the heat. I mean, obviously you raced in Beijing, where it was probably over 90 degrees, and right now here the Washington D.C.'s summer has been as bad as I can remember. Now I know with the Hansons you guys did some runs to kind of simulate the actual course, and you did some simulation runs when you before you actually went to Beijing. Talk a little about that, and how did you guys simulate the heat, and maybe we could relate that to some things that our viewers could do too.
Well, the marathon, what we would do is the Hansons would set up a simulation course where it would be 26K instead of 26 miles. And you go out and try to run your marathon pace for the 26K. So you're looking at 15 miles, 16 miles, something like that, rather than the full marathon distance. So it's not going to take it out of you like a marathon, but you're going to feel what it's going to feel like in the marathon. And they would try to...
26K is how many miles? So that's
10, it's 12,
16, 13.
Sorry.
15, 16.
15, 16 miles. Okay, gotcha. Okay. Gotcha.
And we would try to simulate the conditions. Like for Boston, we would find a real sort of a downhill at the beginning course, and then uphill the second half rolling, and try to work that out over the 26K. As far as the heat, we would generally go to Florida if there was any possibility that the course was that the race was gonna be super hot.
Right.
Boston, you never know in April. I mean, it could be 30 degrees at the start, or it could be 70. So we would always go to Florida. You can always, it's always better to be heat acclimated than not. You can always deal with the cold. You can always put, a layer out if it's cold and get rid of it if you get too warm. But if you go in and you've been training at 20 degrees for the last 3 months and it's 90, it's going to feel so much worse than if you can go and run in 90 and it is 90. It's going to, you're going to be a little more acclimated to it. So we would always go to Florida for that type of thing. I know that's not real feasible for most people, but it might be a good idea to to throw on a sweatshirt or something if you think it's could possibly be hot.
Right.
As far as tonight and races through the summer goes, I mean, I would say hydration is probably number one. Getting some Gatorade in, getting water in all day long if you're going to run the race this evening, and definitely back it off a little bit. The first mile. I mean, a 5K should be the safest of most races, but you still don't. If you want to try to run a 30-minute 5K or something, you don't want to be going out in 7 minutes.
So you guys would back it off in your training, even if it was a hot day in Detroit or in Michigan, you would back it off and account for that.
If we had say like a 6 mile tempo run and it was supposed to be at say 5 flat or something, if it was really ridiculously hot, we might back it off to 5:10s or 5:15s or something like that. More or less, though, I mean, they generally wouldn't back it off a ton, but if we were falling apart the last part of the workout, they would attribute that more to the heat than us being unfit or something like that. So they'd give us a little more grace that way.
So with your training, for the advanced training, or most of your runs are like goal oriented, like tempo runs, hill runs, or whatever. Like, for me with my amateur running, most of mine are based on efforts. Like, most of mine are just like very easy runs with an occasional, like maybe a tempo run a week, maybe a hill run a week, but mostly just like easy runs, especially like on the long runs.
Yeah. Effort is a very good indicator. I mean, we would have some days you just feel like we would feel like 5-minute pace is just like a jog, and then other days 5:10s you're just you're struggling. You think you're going to run 4:45 and it was a 5:10. You're like, what's going on? So sometimes you have to chalk it up to effort, but we would definitely try to hone in on hitting that pace as close to possible no matter what, because the same type of thing is going to happen in a marathon or even a half marathon, where you're going to have peaks and valleys of how you're feeling. You're going to have a mile or two where you just feel like stopping. You're going to have some miles where you're just really ripping. So we would try to focus on that pace and try to just gut it out on the rough parts and ease back when we're feeling really good and just try to hit that pace as close as possible. At Hanson's, we sort of had a 2-day off, 1-day on cycle where we would run like a tempo workout where that would be pretty close to marathon pace, and then we'd have 2 days off of just easy mileage, and then we'd run a track workout where it would be slightly faster than marathon pace on the track, 2 more days easy, and then we'd do a long run, and then 2 more days easy, and we'd start the whole cycle over with a tempo. So we'd go, there's basically 3 different workouts: a tempo, a track, and a long run, and you'd have 2 days in between each one of those. So that was sort of the secret formula, I guess, if there is one for us.
And then would you ever take like a full day off? I mean, every 2 weeks, every month?
We wouldn't. No, never? I mean, we would take about a week off after a marathon, and then we'd come back with an easy week of 6 to 8 miles, and then we'd be sort of back into the mix again.
So for the average runner, is it really more about the total number of miles, the number of days? I mean, if you say, for example, you need to build miles, if like 40 or 50 miles a week is going to be your total, I mean, is it better to spread it out over the course of 6 days or 3 or 4 days? I mean, does it matter the number of days versus and the number of miles combined?
Well, everybody out there has real jobs and real schedules and family and so forth.
Sure.
So you kind of have to, I would say probably the best thing to do is have a weekly goal and then try to fit that in around your schedule. Right. I mean, you don't want your schedule to control you to the point where, oh, well, I can't go do my run today because, I got to go get groceries, or I can't do my run today because I got to get the oil change in the car. You don't want your life dominating your running, but at the same time, you don't want to you don't want to be skipping somebody's funeral to go do your 8-mile tempo either. Right. So you kind of have to find that balance. And I would say probably the easiest way to do that, like I said, is have a goal for the week, what you want to accomplish, and then fit it in when you get the opportunities. So if Thursday you're booked solid, that's probably not the best day for your tempo run. But if Friday's looking a little lighter, there's no problem switching that to Friday.
Now, I'm doing a fall marathon. A lot of our viewers are doing a fall marathon. Give me the Brian Sell workout that you're in shape. Whether it's a track workout, a tempo run, you're in shape and you're ready to roll.
Well,
give me your times, and I'll try to compute it back to my times.
Our sort of cream of the crop workout. The sort of the total indicator was about two weeks out or so. We do 2 by 6 miles. First 6 at marathon pace, and then the next 6 you do the first 3 at marathon pace, and the last 3 run. Pick it up if you could. And if you were able to just maintain, you knew you were about. It seemed like you were about ready to run your goal. If you were able to pick it up, you knew it was going to be, a good race. And if you were falling off, then you might want to adjust your goal back a little. We would take about a 10-minute break in between the two 6-mile tempos. So when I ran, my best one was probably going into Boston. I think I ran 29:12, 28:42 or something like that for 2 by 6. So I was a little under marathon pace, but I was just, I was feeling good. I wasn't feeling taxed. So again, it goes back to effort. You have to. You have to sort of hone in on that effort and know what it's going to feel like, I guess.
To put that in comparison, Chris, what's your 10K PR?
My 10K PR many years ago is 32 minutes. So I think I might do 2 4-mile
you could do that,
tempo runs.
Again, if you ever look at, we have sample training programs online. We're on Athletic Core, the online training, the log site, and so forth. And if you look at our stuff, you have to sort of tailor it to what what you can do, because you don't want to follow exactly what we're doing unless you're trying to run 210 to 220 type of thing. So, but the basic principles can apply all the way across the board.
Yep.
That'd be a good half marathon.
Yeah, I know.
Did you get signed up for Chicago? Are you going to do it with us?
Yeah, I'm not signed up yet, but I'm hoping I can pull some strings with the Pacers connection and get in there.
And Ryan Hall's going to run that too. I think we should get Brian to come out there and take a stab at it also. But
how much time do I have?
Yeah, a couple of months actually.
Yeah.
10 this year.
So where can we you're going to be in school at Penn State. You're still going to be running with Brooks, right? So we can probably check the Brooks Running website. And do you blog for them, or you're on there? You seem to be on their site.
I'm supposed to blog, but I don't know. I was kind of raised on, like, if somebody wants to know what you think, they'll probably ask you rather than putting it out there. So, but my address is or my email is just Selbo, SELLBO @hotmail.com. Anybody that wants to email me is
that's awesome.
more than welcome to. Ask me. I worked at Home Depot. If you got a question about your weed eater or anything, or running shoes for the last 8 years. So if you have a shoe question, if you
wear special inserts in your shoes, then we got to get rolling here. But
I tried orthotics for a little while, but didn't really like them. They were pretty hard, so I kind of got rid of them.
So Brooks Adrenaline.
Brooks Adrenaline has been my shoe for probably 8 years now.
That's great.
What is it? Does Brooks make a special shoe for like bigger runners that are neutral? Or
Beast.
The
neutral would be the Dyad.
The Dyad.
The Dyad's sort of like the Beast without the big bridge truss built in there. So.
Right on. He knows his stuff.
He does.
You know your stuff. Brian, thanks again for coming on the show.
No problem.
Man.
My pleasure.
It's been great having you on here. Great talking to you. Are you going to run tonight?
Yeah, I think we're going to get out and jog it. Yeah.
Come sweat it out in the sun.
That's right.
Well, that's cool. Chris, good to see you again.
Thank you, Phil.
We had a great show, and
thanks
it's been a pleasure talking to everybody. And we got to get running now, literally. So we will see you guys next time on Gotta Get Running. Bye-bye, everybody.
Bye.